Forensics. So we're talking about the scientific techniques to make connections where crime is concerned, or solving a crime. And I'm talking about emotional forensics. So what that means for me, since I just made it up, is making those same connections to get to the bottom of how relationships came to an end, whether they're intimate sexually with somebody, whether they are with a lifelong friend, whether they're with family members. It's not always as simple as we think, and sometimes there's more work that has to be done. A lot of people would just say this falls under therapy, and I would agree, or a lot of people wouldn't recognize that it falls under therapy, so it's something to be said for that. But take your time to retrace your steps, because a lot of times I've heard many stories, we've all heard this, where somebody went to great lengths to catch somebody else cheating, and that's unfortunate that that happens. But in the aftermath, you still have to do some healing. You still have to have some sort of retrospect about your relationship and how it came to an end, and how maybe it even came to infidelity. Use that moment to exercise emotional forensics. Start to look back and say, is there something that maybe I did, maybe something I could have done? And that's okay. It's just growth. It doesn't mean that it excuses or exonerates the person for their actions. And sometimes maybe it was you that cheated, and what led me to that point where I had to feel that way. Without pointing a finger at someone else, it's just simple growth. And what forensics does is it just creates a sequence of events that says we can tag this to this to this to this, and it leads us to this. And sometimes you have to work your way backwards. So there's a crime, there's a bloody footprint, there's a car tire, and you have to work backwards from the crime backwards to what led up to it. So we know that we have a broken relationship, hurt feelings, sometimes confusion, anger. So let's work our way back. Let's work our way back and say, what got me to this point? Whether it was infidelity, whether it was not an infidelity, whether it was somebody else's, whether it wasn't somebody else's. It doesn't have to just be that. Relationships come to ends for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes we will come to the conclusion, or be able to get to the conclusion, that, you know what, we may have just grown in different paths, and it wasn't a bad thing to have happen. Sometimes there will be your friends, your family, their friends and family who may have seen things just like we see in the crime shows, witnesses, that, you know what, there were times where you guys just didn't look that happy, and this started like 6 months ago. It might jog your memory to something. So when you talk to other people, it's not looking to get people on your side. It's just to give their true assessment of what it looks like, because a lot of times what we don't want is to have people feel like they have to take a side, especially when they know both parties well. And I've been through that personally. It's not fun for those people. Emotional forensics, it's something I just made up. Hopefully it works, and I've got music playing. So peace, love, unity, solidarity. I'm gonna let it keep going so you can hear
What's up,
my
y'all?
daughter.